Sorry about making this a two-parter, folks. I tapped the wrong button. I meant to pause the recording and not stop it. Anyway, I've always been a car nut. Well, there was one time, good grief, 10 years ago now, I'm getting old. The Ford dealership that was local to me had gotten in a bright red GT500 Mustang, and yours truly couldn't pass up just going and looking at it. I did not want them to get the keys. I did not want to sit in it. It was sitting out on the lot. I just wanted to admire it for what it was. And that's all I did, because I know that, and okay, let you in on a little secret. The dealership that I worked for was one of the biggest names in car business in the state that I live in. They still are. And they don't have salespeople, they have product consultants. All of them are salary, not commission based. Oh, for Pete's sake. I should have gone the other way. But, let you know a little secret, they are salary plus a performance bonus. So, if I'm John Q salesperson and I sell 5 cars a month, which is very low in the business, and this is according to their pay scale. I'm sure there's others out there that are different, but I'm just kind of giving you a basic idea. I'm going to make so much a month. If I sell 0 cars, I have a minimum guarantee per month. If I sell 5 cars, I'm going to get basically a performance bonus on each car. Now, the upside to that to you is I'm not fighting for price for what's going into my own pocket. Years ago at that dealership, all salesmen used to be paid straight commission. And so if you beat me up $1,000 on a car, you were taking $200 to $300 out of my pocket. And I'm using that as a broad stroke, but you were taking money directly out of my pocket. Well, now it is strictly a per unit. So once you hit so many cars a month, you start getting into your performance pay based on the number of vehicles you sold. And if you got 10, you got this much. If you got 15, you got this much. If you got 20, you got this much. So the incentive to sell more cars was there, because you make more money the more cars you sold. And it was on the curve. So it was strictly a volume-based pay structure. It didn't matter if you sold a car that the dealership had bought right, where they could sell it at a reasonable price, make good money on it, or if you were trying to sell the car that no one wanted to buy, that was the wrong color, too many miles, or whatever, to sell good, and the dealership's just desperate to get out of it, so they're selling at a loss, your performance bonus was the same. But I've never subjected myself to salespeople because I don't want to make an irrational decision that's going to affect myself or my family in a bad way. The only time that I made a spur-of-the-moment decision on a vehicle, I've done it twice. And the first time was, that is very interesting, 7 years ago. I bought my previous vehicle that I absolutely loved that car. It had come in on trade-in years prior, or a year prior to this. I test drove it, loved it, wanted to buy it. My ex said no. It came in on trade-in right after her and I broke up. I started talking to the used car coordinator about it. He's like, well, it's got, this many more miles on it, but it was a low mile unit anyway. So I'm like, So I'm like, well, if you can get it through inspection, I might be out there to buy it today. And the only thing that it didn't need them, but it was running a little low on tread. So, went out there that day and picked it up, brought it home. Loved it. And overall, it was a decent car until it started getting the miles on it. The other car that I bought on kind of a whim was my wife's SUV. We were going back and forth on what we needed to fit everybody in it. And I was saying the mid-size 3-row. She was saying the big-size 3-row. And so this was right when Corona hit. I'm like, hey, you want to solve an argument? She's like, what? I said, let's go by the dealership. Our sales guy's there. The guy that I bought a bunch of vehicles from at this point. And I'm like, we'll see if he's got one of each in there, and if we'll fit in the smaller one, we can just, we've narrowed it down. Well, they're not selling any cars, so they had a hint of desperation about them. And my wife smelled it, and we went and bought. And turns out I was right, because we did fit in the smaller SUV. But she won because she got to bring home her vehicle. So it was just kind of an interesting story. Anyway, folks, I've rambled on long enough, but consider the consequences of your actions. You never know how they're going to affect others. And you can't predict everything, but be smart. Don't make a big decision on an impulse. It can bite you in the butt. I've had it happen to me. So, y'all stay safe. Thanks for tuning in for another Cruise of Smooth. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, notification bell, and I will see y'all next time. Thanks.